We all have moments when we're sitting in our home feeling restless, but maybe you've been feeling more restless than ever by procrastinating about the piles of stuff behind you, scrolling social media, trying to ignore all of the stuff in piles calling your name, or maybe looking online for the latest, greatest home decor piece that's just going to make your home look and feel better. This feeling of discontentment is often what we find ourselves in when we are also battling clutter. So today we're going to talk about some ways to regain contentment in your home. My name is Katie Wells, leading declutter expert and host of the Maximize Minimalist podcast. And my favorite thing in the world is helping families just like yours declutter their home and simplify their lives. I remember back in 2015 when I was covered in clutter, and I mean literally buried. There was clutter in every nook and cranny and on every surface area in my home. And any free time I had after the kids were sleeping at night, I would pop on Netflix, watch Chip and Joanna, or watch more home makeover shows and lust after the before and the after, like the after photos. I was like, I need this. And I wanted those picture perfect homes that I was seeing on all these TV shows. And instead of focusing on simple ways that I could help my home feel and look better by getting rid of stuff, removing clutter, I thought the solution is obviously to change, to update, or to add to. I was led to believe, as many of us are, that the solution to all my clutter and disorganization problems was to paint all the rooms white, get all new furniture, renovate the kitchen, add shiplap. For goodness sakes, how much shiplap did we see? I just needed shiplap and my problems would be solved. Or maybe the solution was to organize by rainbow colors. Or sometimes I thought, maybe I just need to start all over, look for a bigger dream home, and then my clutter problem will be solved. Have you ever thought this? Put yes in the comments, because I know I have. And I know these home makeover shows can be inspirational and fun to watch, but the reality is the more time we spend focusing and lusting after those after photos, the more our brain recognizes, hey, we don't have that. It can really cause so much discontentment with what we have, or in a lot of cases, what we don't have. If we never find contentment, the issue is we will remain in a lifelong exhaustive search for the perfect home decor, for the perfect couch, the perfect rug, the perfect paint color, until our home looks like we want it to look. And then boom, here comes the next trend, or boom, there's something else coming down that promises to solve our problems and make our home our dream palace. This is an exercise in futility. Not only is it causing us to bring in more clutter or things that become clutter and spend a lot more money, it keeps us stuck on this hamster wheel of feeling like the solution to happiness and contentment is to buy our way into it through home decor or home organization strategy or anything in between. So let's talk for a second. What is contentment? Okay. Contentment is being mentally and emotionally satisfied with one's current circumstances, regardless of external factors or material possessions. And going back to the beginning, there are so many things that increase our discontentment. Sometimes it's the way we spend our time, like scrolling social media, but just being surrounded by clutter can be one of them, because how do we feel when we are in our homes? Remember that we are intricately connected and wired to our physical environment. If you have piles calling your name and clutter on every nook and cranny and surface area like I did, it makes you not feel good. It increases stress. It can trigger anxiety. It can trigger overwhelm, frustration, feelings of resentment, overwhelm. I mean, it's like this never-ending rabbit hole of emotions, negative ones that can come up just from being surrounded by the stuff. Plus, include living in a consumer-driven culture like many of us do. It's like a recipe for disaster. Even commonly used terms like retail therapy and FOMO, which is fear of missing out, which a lot of us joke about, right? If you had a long week or a tough day, what are we kind of trained to do? Oh, I'm going to go treat myself. I'm going to go to the mall. I'm going to hop on my favorite shopping app. I deserve this, or I need therapy. I'm going to make myself feel better. Get that dopamine hit by buying something. And again, it's something we all kind of chuckle about, but the reality is that's not the default mechanism we want our brain to be searching for. Again, you cannot buy your way into a happier or content life. That's not the way it works, which is also what this kind of new culture, this influencer culture, if you spend time on social media, is very good at promising us. And it really teaches us to rationalize this idea of overconsumption. I'll be pretty when, I'll be happy when I have those boots or when I have this new skincare product. I'll be happy in my home when I have these new throw pillows or new comforter, right? Fill in the blank. And if that were true back in 2015 when I was surrounded by stuff, some really cute home decor and some actual just clutter, straight up clutter, I would have been so happy and so content. And so would everyone on the planet. But that's simply not the case. It's far from the truth. And the sooner you understand that you can't buy your way into contentment or happiness, the sooner you will truly find contentment. So let's talk about some ways that you can feel more content, especially as we head into the holiday season and a brand new year, 2024. Number one is mindful consumption. Before you make a purchase, ask yourself whether the item is going to truly be necessary in your life and add value. Maybe you could put a simple decision filter in place, a simple question you could ask yourself, like, if no one ever saw me with this new outfit or in this new pair of boots, would I still be interested in buying it? Or am I just really excited to show my friends that I have a pair of boots just like hers, right? I know it sounds kind of silly, but sometimes we get into this default pattern of buying things just to impress others and keep up with the Joneses. Putting a simple boundary or rule in place for yourself, like not buying anything for 24 to 48 hours, which will really reduce the amount of impulse purchases and again, bringing clutter into your home. And 9 times out of 10, this happens to me and I do this. I will come back to this list of things like a wish list. Well past 48 hours, I will have completely forgotten about the item and I rarely ever buy it. I've saved literally thousands, tens of thousands of dollars doing this over the course of many years. And it's such a simple thing to do. You just need to train yourself to be pretty disciplined with it. Now, again, I'm not saying I never impulse purchase something. That just means that some days I wake up not planning to buy a new shirt and I find one and I buy it. It's not the end of the world because it's an exception, not the rule. Most of the time I follow this rule. Number 2, I couldn't get through a video without talking about decluttering and simplifying the things that are already in your home. So getting into the habit and getting into the routines, which I have many videos about you can watch after this one, to regularly declutter and audit and edit your living space and your possessions is so fruitful when it comes to contentment. Not only does it help you get rid of the clutter, it helps you really appreciate and value the things that remain, the things that bring joy, the things that provide function and are just generally useful in your life. From your favorite pair of jeans to your coffee maker, brewing your coffee in the morning, I really value those things so much more than I used to because the clutter isn't stealing my attention away from them. And I found that the more I decluttered and kind of built that declutter muscle, which I often use as an analogy, the more content I became and the less stuff I actually desired. So instead of scrolling social media looking for the latest, greatest home decor or organization product, I would just embrace what I already had. The truth is, there are always things that we can improve and change and tweak in our home with different products and things that we can bring in. But I really found that decluttering my home allowed me this permission to not focus on perfection and just, again, enjoy what I have and understand that my spice rack doesn't have to be perfect. I don't need to go buy a new one. I can just make do and be resourceful with what I already have. It has been a game changer of a mindset perspective. Number 3 is to practice gratitude, kind of dovetailing with appreciation. It is so important to spend just even a few seconds or work it into your daily prayers or, a nightly conversation with your family. This is something we talk about as a family on a day-to-day basis, right? There are things that we don't have, but there are plenty of things that we do have. And focusing on that is so fruitful. And there are numerous studies that have come out in the last few decades that show practicing gratitude can not only increase contentment, but it can actually change our brain chemistry and how we think and move about our day-to-day lives, which is so powerful, right? This long-lasting change that we desire from accumulating and acquiring stuff doesn't come from acquiring stuff, can actually come from something as simple as practicing gratitude. How powerful is that? Number 4 is to find non-material sources of contentment. So maybe for the upcoming holidays or heading into 2024, you want to make it your goal and mission to find and explore new activities that bring you joy, purpose, a sense of fulfillment without relying on consuming or acquiring new things. These could be hobbies, volunteer opportunities. Maybe you start that book club or join that book club you've been eyeballing for the last year, and just different things that you can do to develop different pursuits. And number 5 is reflect on on your values. Remember that our values are our ethical GPS that help us navigate through life and all the twists and turns that life throws at us. And without following our core values, we end up taking wrong turns and end up where we don't want to be. In a lot of cases for us, it's in homes filled with clutter, among other things. The end of the year especially is a great time to reflect and identify what your core values truly are, both individually and as a family, or you can do this with your partner as well, so that you can see if you need to make any changes so you feel more aligned and really get back on that path, so to speak, toward a direction that you want to go, right? To an uncluttered home and a simpler life. Finding contentment in your home is absolutely something that you can achieve. And if you're on your declutter right now and are feeling stalled out or stuck, make sure to click the video on your screen now to learn how you can overcome that hurdle.